Welcome back to the new episode 820. We're going to continue from part one on What They Don't Tell You with Myth Marfa. Now we're going to talk about that same topic, but maybe a different angle. Now about the connection and conversation about what they don't tell you. So we touched on in part one about sports and a little bit on relationships. And no way anyone in a profession like sports or engineering or also in relationships, no one's going to give you a handbook about here's how you do your job. But what we think we agree with Ms. Marfa is that what they don't tell you, and maybe more importantly, what we don't investigate, the connection and the conversation for this next thing we're going to do. So we're talking about in terms of resilience, what they don't tell you about what you'll need in this job. They're kind of like relying you to figure it out or recover on your own. So that's kind of open-ended opening. But what do you think about diving more into what they don't tell you, even whatever profession or relationship? How does it relate to the connection and the conversation?
I know as far as we've discussed with sports, especially at the professional level, you meet, you sign the contract, you agree to the amount that you're going to make, and you go in thinking, I'm going to be a part of this team, hopefully till you retire, but that's getting to be less and less true now. And it's more about the money and then about the injuries, because if a player suffers an injury, then maybe they're not as valuable to that owner anymore. And so they can get traded. But I think when the player initially signs that contract, they're not thinking about any of those things. They're just excited. I've gone pro. This was my goal in life, was to go pro. And, now I can help pay bills. I can help do whatever, because some of them say, well, I'm going to buy my mom that house, or she can retire now. Whatever things they have promised to family members when I become pro. But they don't realize that in signing that, they don't know that an injury may come along, and then their contract's coming to an end, and they can get traded. So no matter, doesn't matter what the fans say. It doesn't matter how much the fans love that player. They can still get traded. And I think that's something they don't really think about when they're signing, and definitely not the injuries. You don't think about injuries to your back, your neck, wherever, your brain. They don't think about that. They're just so excited. Oh, I got signed. This is what I wanted to do.
Right.
So I don't think they're told that or showed that. And that's why I think if they have veteran players come talk to them on signing day and say, look, these are some of the problems I have now.
Yes.
That I played your position, especially if they played the same position.
Yeah.
And yes, we have a few more rules that are supposedly protecting players, brand new helmet, padded helmet that's protecting players. But is it really? They still can come across injuries along the way and be less valuable to the owners.
That's what I was saying before in other previous episodes. We all have, whether it's in sports or military or professional jobs and corporations, we all have a desire and then a discipline to make that desire come true. And then what I call then your drive to do that. And you bring that presence, in this case, to sign the contract for this job or that position with the Cowboys or whoever you're playing for, or even with your relationships. You're coming to the table with, this is what I have the desire to do. This is my drive. But then, almost like what you said about those red flags, I did not do this. Did not put some structure or define what that connection is that we have. Is it just transactional? You say it's just for money, just for because you're cute and because you have money or you have a car, you have a house, or something else deeper than that fortifies that connection. So can we connect, or like a better word, can it connect the connection needed for any relationship that you enter into, and with some sort of a mind view, heart view on what's going to happen down the road? I know that's a big question to ask, but is that connect? How important is that connection before you make that commitment? Is, I guess, the better question.
I guess I found out the hard way that connection is the most important thing. And I've definitely seen it as an example. And if you have that connection, then it's kind of, okay, we're partners and we can make it through this. And we can discuss our way through this, because you're not always going to agree with each other in a relationship, or agree with decisions, or agree with what's happening, whatever that is in the relationship. But if you can have that connection and communicate about it and say, well, what about this? Do you think we maybe can compromise on something? Or do you think we maybe can work it out this way? Or is it something that was maybe just a misunderstanding, but yet it turned into an argument or whatever it turned into, but that's not what I intended. That's not how I intended to say it, or
Right.
or you took it that way, and it turned into some, big
Right.
discussion or argument that we shouldn't have had. But it was just the miscommunication. So I think that connection, if you have that as a foundation, then you can build on that, and that helps prevent those things from happening. It's a preventative measure.
Yeah.
Just like with our health, there's things that we do as a preventative measure. You go get checked for this, you go get checked for that before you have it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that check. The connection is a check. And if you don't have it, then maybe you shouldn't move forward in that relationship. As tempting as it is to move forward,
Yeah.
maybe this person isn't the one you should be with. But a lot of times we settle and we say, well, this is who is in front of me now.
Mm.
This is my option right now.
Right.
I don't have many options right now.
Yeah, let's come back to that. Now we're going to go to a part 3, because I think right there, we're going to come right back, or reverse. Let's spin back to the sports part of this, because you mentioned red flags and that what they don't tell you. And then, almost like we discussed before, when you're in something, you might see something that alarms you, but at some point that vanity takes over. Your ego and fear takes over for, well, if I do this, I'm going to lose my position, I'm going to lose my job. As opposed to what I talk about as far as resilience, having the courage, having the confidence and humility to recognize what is not working for you and make the decision to change your path. So let's come back to that on part 3.